Hello my friends, and welcome to Lean and Clean with Fitness Chef Christine. I'm Christine, your host, and my job is to make sure that whatever your goals are, we meet them through the foods that we eat. What does that mean? Well, that means that if your goal is to gain muscle, that means you'll be in calorie surplus and you need to eat a great deal of protein, some really healthy carbs, some healthy fats, and so we want to be feeding those muscles and making sure that they grow properly. If your goal is to lose fat, you're going to be in a calorie deficit, which means you're eating below your maintenance calories to shed some of that excess fat off. And it does make it a little bit harder then to gain muscle. So you kind of have to choose a path. Now for me, I'd rather gain muscle than be leaner. You know, I'm okay with a little junk in the trunk, but I do like to fuel my body. And so that's what today's episode is all about. Being prepared so that you can fuel your body and not spend all day in the kitchen, but still get the things that you need. So we're gonna start at breakfast. So I finished my workout and now I'm gonna make 2 eggs. And I went ahead and did a microwave sweet potato, which I'll eat half now. I'll show you that in here in a second. We'll get some salt and pepper on there. We wanna make sure everything is properly seasoned. Nobody likes food that doesn't taste good, right? So we're just gonna bump that up a little bit. And I'm actually gonna put, that one's too small. We grab a cover. Doesn't have to be a perfect fit. We just want to cover it up a little bit, move that along. So over here, I've got the half a sweet potato that I did in the microwave, and you'll notice I scored it. That's so that when I put the egg in there, some of that yumminess will drop down in. I always have my dill pickle. The reason is I like to have something that's good and gut friendly to get that good gut bacteria in there, and anything that is fermented is always going to help that happen. Then I've got homemade sourdough bread with avocado, a little dried cilantro, and a little bit of olive oil on there. So I have my real good healthy fats in there, super important. So we've got protein, we've got vegetables, we've got something good for our gut, we have our healthy fats, our carbs, so we're feeding and fueling those muscles. It's so important, especially if you're in midlife, because our muscles start to decrease. I did a whole episode on this, but our muscles start to decrease naturally over time, and it is our job to increase those muscles and keep us healthy and mobile as we go into old age, right? I just turned 56 and my goal is to be healthy and mobile until the day that I die. Whatever day God chooses for me, I'm gonna be the best I can be while that's happening. So while these eggs are cooking, let me show you some other things that I have planned for lunches. So I like to cook in batches. Not that I wanna eat the same thing every day, but it helps to have a prep. So these are soup beans that I'm gonna cook off, just plain, not as soup. I'm gonna do some black beans because they're always good to have around. So you can do burritos, you can do salads, you can do any number of things, mashes, some jasmine rice for rice bowls. And right now I'm cooking some lentils. They're just about done. In fact, I'm gonna turn those off. Lentils are fabulous. Okay, I grew up in a Lebanese household. We ate a lot of lentils. I'm also cooking off some chickpeas. You'll notice that lots of beans and legumes because they're an easy, healthy protein and they mix so well. I love grain bowls, so we're gonna put some together in a little bit. So that is a perfect option. Let's go ahead and flip those eggs real quick. I got this flipped. So we're gonna get those just how I like them. I like the whites to be super firm and then the egg yolk just a teensy bit runny so I can have that on top of this sweet potato. Now I will come back and I will show you what we're gonna do with these grain bowls, with these lunches. I'm gonna give you a little tour here. We're gonna flip you around here. And you can see I've got some baguettes baking in the oven there. I think it's really important that we make our own foods. Get everything we can made from scratch. Everything we can have one ingredient. Now obviously bread has several ingredients, but the most minimal processing we can get, the more that our body will recognize those foods and become lean and clean. All right, I'll see you back here for lunch. Alrighty, well, I enjoyed that great breakfast, and now it's time to do some lunch. So I'm gonna use those lentils that I cooked off, the brown lentils there, and I'm gonna start out with a cup of lentils. I'm gonna put that in the bowl. And this is typically how I build my bowls. So you can use lentils, you can use chickpeas, you can use beans, really anything. And then I just chop up some herbs. And I'm just using scissors to chop them right into the bowl. can do them however fine or chunky that you like them. Chunky doesn't bother me. I'm good with that. And then we're gonna make a little vinaigrette. So we're gonna put 2 parts oil to 1 part vinegar that I dropped. Whoopsies. This is a balsamic glaze, so it's a little bit thicker, but I like. And then to that, I'm gonna add some green onions that I chopped. Just a little bit of green onion, so it's not too strong. And then some salt and pepper, because like I said, we want flavor, flavor, flavor. And some fresh cracked pepper, which believe me, it is so much better. Those are our chickpeas cooking in the microwave. 15 minutes in the microwave really speeds things up for those. Okay, now we shake. We get it all shake up, shake up, shake up. And then I'm just gonna toss it in there. And it just makes a really wonderful, light salad. And of course you could add, any other protein that you want. You could add chicken on top. I'm actually gonna add, I didn't finish all of the sweet potato from the breakfast, so I add a little bit of that sweet potato there. Just mix that in. And you could add lots of other vegetables as well. You could add some raw onion, you could add cabbage. Really anything goes well with this. Let's take a little taste. See how I like that. Really good balance of flavors. So you've got the sweetness of the balsamic, and I had put basil and some parsley and some rosemary in there, along with the olive oil, salt and pepper. It's really a really nice balance. Now, if I was gonna have this with lunch, I might add a little bit of roasted chicken. I also have some roasted eggplant that I would put in there. So this is kind of what I do for lunches. I'm not a big sandwich person. I much prefer having a wonderful burst of flavor. So that is what I'm doing. Now, in the Instant Pot, I'm doing the jasmine rice. That is a really efficient way to cook rice. And then, like I said, excuse me, in the microwave, I have the chickpeas. So let me show you how I do them. Again, it's all about getting prepared before you actually need to eat this. So you do them ahead. So I just filled a 6-cup measure with about a cup of the dried chickpeas. And then I have, let me get a different spoon. And then I fill up the water. And you'll see they start to bloom really nicely. So first I bring it up to a boil at 5 minutes, and then I stir it, and then I cover it, and I put it back in for 10 minutes. And I keep doing that until I get to the desired texture that I'm looking for. This allows me to cook multiple things at multiple times. The other way you can do it is put it all in the oven. So I set my oven at 400 degrees. I put all my beans in different pots, put them in the oven, and just let them go. They'll come to a boil on their own. They'll slowly bake out. It's the perfect way to get everything done at the same time. So I'll come back and I'll show you what all that looks like. Okay, I'm back. So let's see the finished dish. Okay, so this is the lentils with the herbs and the vinaigrette dressing. On here I added some roasted eggplant and 2 hard-boiled eggs chopped up. So now I've got some extra boost of protein and extra flavors. So it is delicious, okay? You have to trust me on that. It's so good. Then we got our rice out of the rice cooker, and I added some Asian sauteed broccoli. I put in some sesame oil and some Asian rice vinegar and a little bit of ginger. So it's got some really good, strong flavors over that rice. That also has some soy sauce on it and some toasted cashews for that little extra crunch. So we've got that in there. And then for snack, some Greek yogurt with some raw honey. This is one of my favorite snacks because it's a super fast thing you can grab, but it's got packs a big bunch of protein and some good probiotic properties to it. So it's a perfect way to go. And so there we have some breakfast and lunch ideas. and I'll come back in another episode and show you some dinner ideas. This wasn't necessarily about recipes, but I want to talk to you about the flow of how Lean and Clean works. So each meal has, the way it's supposed to work, is each meal has a high protein, a good amount of vegetables, 2 fruits, and 2 probiotics per day. Not for each meal, but 2 probiotics per day. So that we have a good balance of foods, we're fueling our bodies, we're making sure that all those macro and micronutrients, which often get overlooked, are in our diets. So I hope this has been helpful, and if it has, I would love for you to leave me a review and go ahead and ask any questions that you want. I will leave my email at the bottom. I'm always here to help. Sending you lots of love.